Hello, everyone. We are back in RevRag AI podcast series, and today we have a special guest whose name is Shashwat, and he's leading BIU and analytics at DCB Bank. Shashwat has been a builder overall, has built a lot of products from scratch to scale as in BFSI, and spent close to 8+ years in BFSI, banking, NBFCs, and multiple others, and has led some amazing initiatives in BFSI. So we will be talking to him and asking how AI in BFSI is landing. AI and BFSI today sits at an interesting crossroads actually. On one hand, there is massive excitement around AGI and autonomous agents. On the other hand, most financial institutions are still grappling with fragmented data, legacy systems, and low trust in AI outputs. Right. In this episode, we will go beyond the hype of and to understand really what actually it takes to deploy AI into production, especially with high trust environment, high regulatory industry in banking and insurance. And we'll explore what Shashwat has for us, and we'll try to uncover all the things that probably we could in this episode. So welcome again, Shashwat. We'll start with the first question to you, right? So as we know, like AGI is being discussed around the corner, right? And every bank still struggles with basic AI deployments. From your vantage point, where does BFSI truly stands today? And on AI maturity curve, right? Are we solving real problems or just rebranding like legacy systems with AI terminologies?
Thanks, Ashutosh, for having me here. Uh, See, my opinion on before we get to AGI, let's start with AI. There is a long journey that BFSI has traveled. In fact, if you look at the baselines of AI, it kind of go hands in hand, or it is as old as banking is.
Right.
Calculation started when banking started, money started flowing in today's context. I wouldn't say that banks are not completely leveraging the way we talk AI. Yeah, initially some of the calculations RPAs were rebranded as AI, but today what I look at and where I see industry is a lot of leaps has been taken.
Hmm.
So there was a time when calling out fixing a scenario for calling a customer on let's say a greater than 1 lakh rupees transaction was considered RPA, later rebranded as AI. But today it has moved in a very different direction. Right now, that transaction is also getting associated with probabilistic numbers. So if does it have a 98% confidence that it may be a fraudulent or non-fraudulent transaction?
Absolutely.
And that plays along with uh, 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 the certain rules.
Right.
So a lot has moved. I would say in both. I mean, across all the verticals, campaigns of course has picked up along with. If you look at the current set of campaigns which are happening all across other industries,
Hmm.
BFSI has borrowed it from media and a lot from telecom, okay, to build on campaigns.
Yes.
On the risk side, I think BFSI always stood as high as it could, and we are just not just it's not just rebranding. We are kind of leading the forefront over there.
Absolutely. Yes.
And in other domains like ops, uh, AI had started taking over RPA.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ops was always a RPA game, wherein automation created a lot of value by automating tasks that ops could do. If you look at AI in today's context for banks, the maximum impact that AI drives from a investor perspective or from a financial perspective is through ROA impact. ROA is basically return on asset.
Hmm.
Return on asset gets impacted a lot on how do you operate on C1, cost to income ratios,
Hmm. Okay.
and 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 AI can massively play a role over there,
Hmm.
and some of it has already started, which we'll discuss.
And like as I asked, what about the AI maturity curve overall? Like we've started using I think everybody is now adopting ChatGPT, Claude, all of these LLMs, right, internally as well. Uh, how is the maturity looking like internally for you to drive AI inside your org?
See, as far as LLM goes into picture, I don't think too many banks are open in India for using them internally for various uh, you know regulatory boundaries that has been set across on, and there are some rules which are kicking in. There are gray areas which need to be resolved before a regulated industry like banking starts completely adopting it internally as well as externally.
Mm.
On a maturity curve for personal assistance and question and answer, I would say we most of the bankers would be around 3.5 to 4 on a scale of 5. Uh, but from the complete usage of the spectrum that a Claude or a Chat GPT can provide, I think we barely will cross 1 on 5.
Got it. And what's the biggest misconception from founders and builders who are coming to you, or vendors which are trying to build in BFSI, right? What is the biggest misconception there that you are seeing? Because you might be talking to a lot of startups like us, and plus incumbents which are already there in the market, right? So what is the misconception that they have about all of
First of all, I think the misconception that comes is, I have a solution. Do you have a problem?
it? Right. Yeah.
Right.
I built
That's
something,
very,
and do you see that you can use it?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, so there are two approaches that I generally see when I meet ecosystem.
Mm,
One is that I have a solution. Do you have a problem?
mm.
Or do you have any problem because we can solve anything? Both of this generally has produced disappointing results in past, and that's why I think banking fraternity has some disappointment with this.
Mm,
But there are a lot of good work happening in ecosystem, a lot of partners, a lot of development from is being front-ended by the ecosystem, the vendors, as we speak about.
mm,
And and I think one AI solving problem for all
mm,
the banking needs is it's a very utopian concept.
mm.
Uh, See, I'll not get into details, but let me just put the perspective.
Right,
All the departments within the bank
right.
may not follow the same KPI because the optimization they need to do would vary depending on what their core objectives are. So, for example, a collection would completely focus on getting the money back, whereas a lending team will completely focus on giving the maximum amount of money. So, collecting and giving, and there is, of course, there are bridges. So, overall concept of the each department or the problem statement within the bank might have conflicting optimization principles, and AI per se would work on what do you want to optimize. So optimizing one on multiple fields perhaps would not take you, it might not give you optimum result.
So like in BFSI, it's not enough even like that I as a vendor come to you and I have a solution, but it's not properly explainable or auditable or compliant, right? So it all these words really mean something in if you are selling to BFSI, right? So how do you yeah, my question is majorly like how do you see the role of explainability and grounded AI, meaning the coverage of it, like it is auditable, it is compliant, it covers all the ground for from the perspective of let's say uh, let's say overall compliance driven architecture, right? So especially in areas as you mentioned, underwriting, fraud detection, and customer support as well, right? So what do you think, like does every banker see AI in the same lens, or yes, people are excited about AI, they are even getting pilots done without even considering all these three major impacts that can be done through AI?
Ashutosh, we banks primarily deal with money and trust,
Right.
and both go hand in hand. Compliance to the law, compliance to the expectations of the customers, compliance to the policy is not a good to have. It is need to have.
Yeah.
Anything else is good to have.
Mm,
Banks will or may operate without AI, not without these things.
mm,
Any solutions that does not comply with the regulatory boundaries or even the upcoming regulations that we are looking at, citing DPDP or RBI pre AI guidelines.
right.
So that will not even see the light of the day.
Mm,
Get the POC. That's the first question that any banker will ask. Does it comply with this? How will you ensure that we have consent for the data that is getting used? How will it ensure that it follow the DPDP guidelines?
mm,
Uh, how will it ensure? How will you ensure that everything is explainable? Because RBI clearly mandates that all the decisions needs accountability, and it should have a human in the loop if AI is getting used. So,
mm.
if you would refer to the current guidelines that has been issued by RBI,
RBI, right.
I would say all solutions, whether it is IT or AI, has to comply with the internal guidelines of the policy and regulatory framework at large, and not only to what is written, but also in the spirit. Because at the
Mm,
end, a bank does not only deal with money; it also deals with the customer's trust.
So how do you, while thinking about any let's say a pilot, because any which ways now the model has changed, right? Model has become that you have to basically do a pilot in order to basically see success and see some ROI, because implementing AI is not that easy, right?
Correct.
So how do you take a lens there that okay, this is the solution that might be helpful and I am ready to take a pilot. So founders out there, and even let's say a banker who might be the CTO or digital officer, what is the lens that probably you are taking while actually recognizing that AI system might be relevant for you?
Sure. I think not only me, most of the bankers would take the similar lens. It is the solution that we are looking at. What is the feasibility of it to operate in the current ecosystem?
Mhm.
Second, where does it stand on compliance and regulatory framework?
Mhm.
Third, how soon can we see the impact?
Hmm. Makes sense, yeah.
Fourth, which is it's an optional. It doesn't necessarily work in all the environment, but is this a code development or is
Mhm.
it off the shelf?
Makes sense.
And fifth is, of course, on-prem cloud. What are the internal guidelines, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
having said that, the POC approach is what establishes what is being told is being done or not. So today, for example, if you would say my AI can, I have created a product where AI can bring you a new customer, can disburse a loan to the customer, and then can retain the customer over the customer life cycle, and you would show it in a prototype. I may believe, but a lot of uh, uh, with a lot of skepticism around it. So
Makes sense.
proof of the pudding is that you take some of the uh, representation of the set of customers and then show it. It's like combinedly believing on the story by looking at uh, first few instances.
Absolutely. No, I think I do agree there, because from a standpoint of a bank, right? As you rightly said, that there is a lot of trust that is involved in a bank, right? There is a lot of regulation, compliance, all of it, and in order to pass through that and then show ROI is where probably an AI vendor or any vendor for that matter can basically win a deal, right? So I totally agree there. So and let's say post POC, what we have seen, even scaling, right? Most AI systems actually not fail because the model is weak, right? Model is, we already know how models are today, right? But because they lack some business context, right? So how big the context gap really is today in BFSI, right? And given the fragmentation of policies, CRM data, call logs, internal systems, they are separate data sets that are there, right? And integrating all of them together is not that easy for any vendor out there, right? So how do you think that is it important? And if you have seen that somebody is doing it, then how they're doing it, and what would be your thought process? How can somebody like us or any vendor of AI can actually build those systems which can actually show value in production and
Yeah.
life scale?
So, Ashutosh, if you would look at the era of AI where people were turning to AI to find answer, that excited most of us for around a year or so. Uh, and a lot of investments have gone in past around this. So we
Right.
would have seen a lot of chatbots getting connected, a lot of customer chatbot web interfaces coming up across the industries, not just BFSI as such.
Mm.
But the question answer era is kind of not adding as much value as people were anticipating, even for us. So now the idea is the term that I said to you, which is how does it impact my bank KPIs? Is it helping me improve ROE, ROA, something,
Right.
any of the KPIs?
Mm.
Now, if you backtrack some
Mm.
of this, it goes back to three things.
Mhm.
Is it something that helps me differentiate my products? Okay. Is it something that helps me reach to my customers with a lower TAT or at a higher speed and respond and is available all across the time when the customer wants? Third, is it a technological shift?
Mm.
Something which primarily means a lot of what we are doing internally may not be needed to be done, and there is a shift in what is being done by human and what is being done. If a product does not, or if a solution does not solve one of these problems,
Mm.
perhaps it will have a POC, but it will not say the light of the end of the tunnel, because the reason is it has to show some impact in the P&L.
Absolutely.
Coming to the systems, POCs doing taking a set of data, running it, and looking at execution in the vendor's environment seems like an academic exercise. It generally it works. It's
Mm.
like a tried and tested thing that has been done in past, so it will work. Where the when the rubber hits the road is when you start doing it in the environment of bank,
Mm.
and the problems are, as you rightly pointed out, models have evolved to whatever level of accuracy that we can imagine.
Right.
It goes better than what we could imagine 3 years back.
Right.
So models are no more constraints. The constraint is the weakest link. The weakest link is the legacy systems that
That
organizations
are.
have. So connectors are absolute must.
Mm.
Compliant uh, guideline around what will get passed upon and what will not, and how will the data get deleted as it is getting used, etc., will be
Mm.
of paramount importance. And the most important thing is, does it require somebody to have an overview all the time, or is it frictionless? So for example, AI is supposed to reduce the friction.
Absolutely.
If AI demands a constant, or it creates a constant state of friction for people, then it's unlikely to kind of succeed.
No, no, I think I second that, and I think what I have seen and what even we have been building, uh, ease of use is very important, right? If for a customer, which is, let's say, a tier three and beyond customer coming to a bank, trying to use the app or digital services, right? Is there a way probably an AI can help them explain, take action, not just question answer? The old chatbot model is already over, right?
Yeah.
But not just that, it is able to take action, guide the customer, so on and so forth, right? I think ease of use is the key, and if that ease of use is really getting adopted, then probably you'll see ROI from the factor of uh, whether it's revenue or cost cut, so on and so forth, right? So what we are seeing is that there is a massive shift that is happening, right? And we have seen this last year as well, and now it is basically last year was kind of POC being done. Now it is going to scale and getting implemented, right? So we are seeing this shift from passive chat interfaces, as you rightly said, right, to an AI that actually takes action, triggers flows, right? They are able to like guide the customer, so on and so on, in assist in journeys and even drive conversions, right? So so how do you see this transition from AI as an interface to an AI as an operator inside workflows or on top of workflows inside the BFSI?
I'll give you an ideal scenario. I
Okay.
wouldn't say where we are or where the industry is and in the maturity curve. But imagine that you have a system, okay,
Mhm.
which for every transaction that is happening in core system and for it is connected to all the data sources.
Mhm.
Now, think of it as a massive AI brain,
Mhm.
which depending on what is changing, what should be done is kind of understood.
Mhm.
Now, as I said, it's okay, so because the objectives of different departments
Department.
within the bank
Yep.
are to optimize different things, all to fulfill the bank KPIs. But
Yep.
KPIs needs to broken department wise for obvious purposes.
Mm.
So similarly, these departments are reflected. Let's say there is a growth department which has a uh, which has an absolute mandate to grow the balance sheet of the bank. Then
Right.
there is a risk department which has an absolute mandate to ensure that all kind of risks are mitigated, managed, and predicted in advance in time. There is a ops department, and there is a policy adherence, compliance, etc. department, and then maybe a couple of it more. Okay? So assume that there is a layer like this department, and these layers have digital employees.
Mm.
Now, digital employees primarily means that let's assume that you select a skill set. For example, let's just pick up uh, customer outreach as one skill set. Now, customer outreach can happen for multiple reasons. One
Mm.
could be that you want to understand the customer's voice of customer. So, survey primarily.
Yeah.
That could be one skill.
Mm.
Second is that the outreach could happen because you see that there is something that you can offer to the customer because you see there is a need,
Mm.
latent or expressed.
Mm.
Third could be that you need to provide information to the customer because there has been a transaction which is much larger in nature than it used to be, and multiple such kind of use cases. All of this can be created as a skill in individual capacity,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
As an
Mhm.
agent, and these agents remain as a skill set.
Mm.
So, for example, there is a agent with who has a work to do a cross sell across the life events of the customer.
Right.
The life events could be a
Mm.
nominee got added, birthday is approaching, anniversary is approaching, anniversary with the bank is approaching.
Mm.
Any event that could be used as a customer lifetime event. Second could be bot which has let's say which primarily works on the risk of the transaction,
Mm.
and it kind of informs the customer, okay, so this is where your these transactions are different from what your usual or anomalous to what your usual transactions are. That's one of the scary side. But the other one is could be there's a EMI coming, your account does not have enough balance, so
Mm.
uh, bump up the balance, etc. And imagine all these scenarios being taken care by these all agents.
Mm.
And in the growth department, there is one agent under which these 4 5 skill sets are mandated or managed.
Mm.
So it's like the corporate following hierarchy. And this agent is called depend. So there is a router and there is an orchestrator. The orchestrator calls the right set of department to solve the problem. Right now it is being done in any organization, and then it picks up the right set of skill set within that, and it
Mhm.
deploys that agent to close.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And for every transaction, there are two possibilities. One is this just requires an execution. This requires a decision plus execution.
Mm.
For everything that requires an execution can directly get executed by an agent. For everything that requires decision plus execution will be routed to a human in loop types of a scenario. In my estimate, broadly, okay,
Right.
and in my personal opinion, this would cut down the supervisor's work today by at least 45 to 50%. 50% of the decision would not require a human. Think what massive difference can it create? And from a tech perspective, you yourself are a very well versed person with AI. Is it feasible or not? That's where I will leave it.
No, so I think what you, I'll just try to wrap it around so that we are able to understand what you were trying to. So there is an AI brain which is basically trying to orchestrate all the departments with their KPIs, with separate agent for each of them, and whenever it is required to have a human in loop, there is human in loop,
Yeah,
and it is being done. So I think that is very much possible today. What you are explaining, right? And if a bank is able to adopt that kind of a framework, I think you rightly said, not just 50%, I would say like more than 70 to 80% can be actually automated decisioning, and even cost cut and revenue targets can be taken, right?
yeah,
But but the thing that will actually help these agents go beyond whatever is there is the actual context around each of the pieces that they are going for, right? So
yeah,
let's say what we build at Revrag is that our agents are deployed inside the app, right? So they need to live in that environment, and then there is an orchestrator which is, let's say, connected with that AI brain that you described, right?
yeah,
Is able to be guided and given context about all of it, right? So there will be independent context that an agent needs to build. So there will be a complex structure that individual agent also need to basically cope up with,
yeah,
because as we know, right? So it's not easy to first understand all type of customers that a bank has, right? Banks operate on a different level of complexities and audience, right? So you get new nuances every day and night. So I think uh, uh, context is really very important, as you rightly said, and integrating with all the systems. So you're right. So there is a series by the name Westward. I saw that series actually, and when you said AI brain, I was just imagining it to be like a large column, and that. But yeah, I can imagine that this is not too far, but I think let's hope for the best that some folks are building these type of.
maybe I would like to add here, Ashutosh. So
Yeah.
think of it. Can will one organization develop it? Perhaps not. If you would ask my opinion on this,
Mhm.
and is it that somebody would benefit, one organization will benefit by developing it? It's going to be integration of ecosystem. Okay, so for example, what you do, okay,
Right.
can be part of the ecosystem that is being borrowed to feed in for the purpose. Okay. Then
Right.
there is a different ecosystem or a different vendor which provides, let's say, a risk related part, which can be integrated to the platform, which orchestrates all this. So imagine everyone being good at training one kind of bot, okay, and the orchestrator being trained in the context. So, for example, an in-app agent may be very tempted to say that, or maybe to initiate a conversation around the next best product, while
Yeah.
a orchestrator or while a risk agent might would have noticed that last three EMIs have not been paid. So it's a better idea to not put a next best product and maybe look at the restructuring of EMIs, or maybe to look at a extension or maybe a balloon payment or whatsoever. There could be multiple possibilities around it. So what kicks in, that context can only be defined by somebody who's orchestrating the whole environment. But a part of the ecosystem, or rather the platform can adopt ecosystems which are best at what they do.
Absolutely. I think you're right. So it is hard to imagine actually what how it would look like, right? As you rightly said, because it's a complex system overall. There is not one piece that probably you can go and just change it and it will get into production. So it is a complex function of orchestration, multiple agents working together, even multiple vendors working together to achieve that goal. So uh, agreed.
And
So
maybe agents talking to each other, so that also needs to happen.
no, absolutely. I think gone are the days when you like every system was in silo. I think that we cannot afford uh, in bank days, right?
Yeah,
Today's AI days. Sorry, uh, because context is very important in every aspect today, right? So if you are uh, building AI for your product, it needs a lot of context of your business to your customers, to even internal workflows that you might be having, right? So I think absolutely. uh, so the next question is basically like we have seen, and every bank wants to move fast, right? That they want to go and do stuff, and that comes from top to bottom, right? There is a mandate that starts in boardroom, and then everybody gets to it, right? And that's how basically things work, right? Uh, but as banks, they can't afford to basically break things. You have to, there is a very good saying that move fast and break things, right? But for a bank, that saying cannot be true. You have to move fast without breaking things, right? So uh, where do you realistically see the first wave of AI uh, getting scaled to the production max, right? In which segments in next 1 or 2 years, right? uh, it might be, let's say, customer support, underwriting, lending, sales, onboarding. uh, any ideas on what is going to be scaled fast?
I think one thing that has scaled already is customer chatbot introduction and scaling up around it. So that thing has kind of picked up. I see a lot happening around uh, call center and customer outreach,
Hmm.
and there is enough growth on that maturity. There are some early adoption also,
Hmm.
depending on what fails and what learnings are,
Hmm.
and how quickly the system is going to evolve. I do see that in another couple of years it would be at two-third out, maybe 75% of the maturity curve.
Hmm.
Risk uh, calculations, interactions the within the organization is also in place, but taking letting an agent take decision based on this will perhaps take a little more time because of the regulatory framework and also complexities involved in uh, uh, having a certainty around the rules.
Right.
Underwriting will see a lot of uh, things moving in next. I mean, it has moved a lot already, but I see that with alternate data, account aggregators, more DPIs evolving day by day, and a large population of India being unbanked, uh, I see that will pick up quite fast, and fintechs have taken that ground very strongly. Uh, yeah, broadly, but I think in the larger context, uh, something that will come and that is needed much more strongly is the orchestrator, uh, because independently, if a human has to operate on each agent and then it gets stuck again at some point of time where AI could be very fast, AI could be very clean, AI could be very accurate, but if there is a requirement of somebody to operate it and look overview all the decisions, it will still follow the same route. We'll see incremental efficiency gain, not radical gain.
Massive. No, I think you've got me thinking. Actually, I was thinking how can that be done? All right. So it's a very good thought on. We've seen customer support getting scaled, I think, already.
Yeah,
sales, onboarding. Uh, it is getting scaled. Underwriting, as you rightly said, is having a lot of AI already. The next bit would be how can you orchestrate it all well together, I think. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think next wave of evolution will come from there. Uh,
Hmm.
the uh, part में तो ठीक है. I mean, it's like the data that initially we used to see.
Hmm.
Data and individuality was good, but connected best. So that's
Hmm.
why you would have seen the evolution of warehouses, data lakes, customer 360, which was the buzzword, which really created a lot of value for people to look through data and understand what insights it can bring. Okay.
Hmm.
Similar things will happen on action. It will follow the precedence. Individually, yeah, good, but connected best or great.
Hmm. Makes sense. No, I think very rightly pointed out. So moving to the next question now. So there is a narrative that AI will replace relationship managers, right? And in BFSI, they are the cream of BFSI, right? Because it is very important for banks, insurances, financial services to basically have a deep touch of their customer, right? Because it helps them build trust. Again, trust is in this system really very important, right? So, uh, like, what do you think, right? Whether there will be a replacement that is going to happen, or there will be AI augmentation that is going to happen, right? Or there is a balance of both that might help uh, uh, a BFSI. And where do you see, like, in 3 to 5 years? Let's talk about after 5 years, and then we'll come down to 3 years. What do you think? Like, what will happen after 5 years? Where it all will be?
Sure. So, let me give you a profound opinion on this. Every time a tech hits the world, it says that it's going to replace some of the people, some of the jobs. It at least in past, it has never happened.
Hmm.
What it does, it restructures the job.
Hmm.
Some part uh, which is which I tag as something which can be done without a decision, that gets done by a tech. Rest
Hmm.
of the work still remains with the person who is doing it.
Hmm.
Would we need total number of person as we used to? And that may be a different question. But will RM exist? Of course, they will exist.
Hmm.
Apart from executing the work, they also take decisions, certain decisions which are key to how you get a customer.
You're right.
It's
Absolutely.
like assuming it's like assuming that e-commerce would have killed all the shops. So because it kind of thought that whatever you need is available on your web, and you can get the delivery in 10 minutes. At least I have not noticed any degrowth in the mom and pop stores around my area. On a larger scale, that this might be the case, but I think the role is changing.
Hmm.
Similarly, the role of RM may shift, and it might be a lot more about uh, deeply understanding what the customer needs by the help of AI, and hence be more informed, more empathetic in approach, and absolutely informed to help the customers, uh, which would be a win-win both for the organization as well as the customer.
Hmm.
Uh, in my understanding, it will augment the capacity of RM to an extent that they'll be the best support that a customer can look at.
So,
And yeah, sorry, to answer the second part of the question, in 5 years, where do you see this role? I think the kind of conversations will change.
hmm.
Right now, if you look at RM, most of the conversation is around, sir, हमारे पास ये है, आप लोगे क्या? Probably 5 years down the line, the conversation is going to be uh, like a doctor speaks to the patient. It's like this might suit you best for your financial interest.
Hmm. Because of the
Depending on
country.
whatever information. Yeah, the content, the information that RM has, the backend that AI will enable in terms of understanding the customer needs and mapping the right set of products and the customers, and also I mean, and take my word for it that there will be enough governance built around it, that there is no mis-selling. There are only positive things that you can give to the customers, and for the things that which are not available, probably a more uh, app product will be available for customer, which you may or may not choose to recommend. But at least mis-selling and all will be curbed to a large extent.
Makes sense. No, no, I second that. I think there is no diminishing that is happening in the relationship management role. That will still exist, and because it's a key piece in BFSI, right? And that's where we are also betting, right? So it will be optimized. It will not be replaced, right?
Yeah.
There will be a large part of relationship management which will still be handled by human, but there will be AI that is coming in. Let's say we can't let a human sit on the app, right? There we might need a AI agent which can probably uh, help the customer, but ultimately there is a touch or human touch that is required, right? So as you know that what we are building is in-app AI agents, right? And they act like relationship managers while the customer is getting onboarded, trying to use the app, navigate, so on and so forth, right? Do you think that once your AGI type of things are actually hitting when we get AGI, right? Will these type of agents become irrelevant for the users? Meaning, because now I can go and talk to AGI and they might know everything. Do you think that will AGI be able to penetrate into the systems of the banks? Because it is hard, very contextual in a way, right? So yeah.
I would rather say to consider this as AGI would probably have a context, but it still has to enable something to go and talk to the customer. Okay,
Uh,
it could be a human, it could be an agent. Would organization want to build what you're building internally? That's a choice, but I don't see this dying. I see this flourishing because the in-app agent will have much more information, much more context, probably to help the customer in moving forward in the journey, and also helping him take decisions or helping her take decisions uh, with the right set of context. AGI is going to help flourish all this which is reaching out to the customer.
hmm.
I, I don't see even remotely it impacting in a negative way.
No, no, makes sense. I think you rightly said. So, in a regulated environment, I don't think even an HDFC app will even try to basically let AGI handle the app, right? Or any bank for that matter, right? Uh, there will the people banks even don't let screenshots to be taken on the
Yeah,
bank app, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's hardly like it's highly regulated of sort, right? So I think I agree, and that's why I wanted to like have wanted to wanted your lens as well on that piece, right? So now that we have come to the close of the discussion, I just want one last question from you. That is there any advice that you might want to give to a banker who is building and uh, trying to use AI into their system, and uh, how should they look at AI, because you have onboarded a lot of AI vendors and you are working with AI day and night, right? I've seen a lot of things that you have built yourself, right? So uh, any any uh, any advice to people who are trying to use AI in BFSI?
A short one, probably I'm not in a position to give advices at this point. Even I'm experimenting, but a short one, which is you know, with the kind of tools that is available in market right now, uh, what can be built is completely limited to imagination, not to the tools. Uh, and imaginations will need a boundary. So while something is being developed or thought of, do build with the boundaries which you are which is already available. as a guideline, or which is being anticipated in next 4 5 years from a regulator perspective. Also put those boundaries in spirit, not just in the uh, uh, in the written format. I mean, whatever is written over there. So build, experiment. A lot of things will come out of it when we start building.
Absolutely. Uh, Thank you so much, Shashwat. It was great having you. Lot of discussion around AGI, AI, and BFSI. Thank you so much. It was enlightening and to understand the real perspective of even orchestration in side and bank, how it will perform, what are the regulations, how you should basically deploy AI. So a lot of things we have learned today, and looking forward to another discussion that we'll have for sure. Thank you so much again. If folks want to reach out to you, how probably they can reach out to you?
I'll leave my email ID perhaps with you.
I'll also give a link of LinkedIn profile of Shashwat. So if you want, if you are a banker listening to this podcast and you want to understand how probably a banker thinks about uh, how to implement AI, you should definitely talk to Shashwat. Uh, Thank you again. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next episode. Bye bye.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Ashwin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashwat.